Hello everyone, now let's see, we will discuss one more topic, that is the truss, frames and machines. We will discuss what is trusses, what machines and frames, differences, applications, how we analyze them. So let's discuss about this topic. Now first question is, what is actually the truss? If you have seen these type of bridges, iron bridges or metallic bridges or these type of structures, these are actually technically known as trusses. Now what are the properties of truss? These are usually stationary, means it is just stay on the same position, it is not movable, but it is having the members as well as joints. These are designed to carry the load or to support the load. If any automobile, anything is passing over these, so they are just providing the support. For example, if you stand, your weight will act downward and earth is providing the normal reaction just in equal and opposite direction. Same, when any object will pass over these will provide the same support in opposite direction. Then these are consist of straight members. All these channels, all these straight parts, these are known as members and they are joined at the joints like this. Now this is the free body diagram of the same truss system. It is having AC, CD, AD, DB, BC. These are the members, and these points A, B, C, D, these points are known as joints. Let's talk few other properties of truss. First, the members are connected at joints always. Whenever we have a truss system, remember that they will be joined at the joints only, no in between, no middle joint will be there. So they acted upon the forces directed along the members only. Let's say this is a truss. Now this is the combination of vertical and horizontal truss. They are joined to each other at these points. These joints may be of various type, like welded, riveting, pin joints, like that. Now all the members in truss, they will have only two type of forces, either tension or compression. When say tension means we are trying to elongate the length of member, compression means we are going to compress the member. Now only two type of forces are there. So for the truss, you should remember one property, stationary, it will be a stationary. Second, it will have all the members which will experience the two type of forces only, tension or compression, inside the member only. Now this is the practical example of truss. This roof is constructed on a number of trusses. These are the series of trusses which are joined together to hold or to bear or to support the roof. It might be the metallic tin roof or the cemented roof, but they are providing the supports. Now these are the few diagrams of roof trusses, few diagrams of bridge trusses and few complex trusses. So I'm just wanted to show you these are the designs only. They are making a number of other designs also. I will give you the current scenario of this same trusses. Now let's talk about the frames. So what is a frame? This type of structure is known as frame. So what are the properties? Again, it will be stationary just like the trusses. It is also designed to support the load. Now what is the main difference between frame and truss? The main difference is trusses are having only two type of forces in the member. First is tension or compression, but the frames are having three or more than three forces in their member. Then it is known as frame. And these forces are not directed along the members. It might be the tension, it might be the compression, it might be the bending, torsion, or we can say the moment, a number of forces. Now we talk about the machines. What are the machines? They are actually designed to carry or to transmit the load. Second, they contain the movable parts. Third, contain at least one multi-force member. These are the examples of machines, and here the machine means a machine made up of members, joints, and seem like a crane. If I now compare the truss, frame and machines, I can say truss is having stationary, designed to support the load, and two forces in the member. Frame, stationary, designed to support the load, having three or more than three forces in the member. Machines, movable parts, designed to transmit the load from one point to another, and having at least one multi-force member. So this is the basic difference between truss, machine and frame. Now these are the examples of trusses. Now it is having a number of horizontal trusses and they are joined to each other using these horizontal bars just to support the roof. Now in this, the load applied, it will be carried by these trusses only, but this is the example of frame in which a number of members are connected and the load applied on this will be transmitted to each and every member. And this is the example of machine in which a number of members are connected at joint and it is having this movable part above this and it is transmitting the load. You can see this load is going to be transmitted from one point to another. So this is the example of crane, or we can say the machine. Now these are the current buildings which they have designed and these are totally based on the truss and frames only. Santiago building which is having the base and everything based on the frames only. Same in Norman Foster, the space frame building is there, and in Japan also a number of semicircular shapes. Now try to see how we generate. These are the frames and a roof is going to be installed over there. This is again a building which is the best example, the complete building made up of frames. Now here you can see the same structure, and this is the one very common example. In all the airports, whenever they have to install the roof on a very lengthy, very broad area, then they are not preferring the cemented roofs. They are taking the help of frame structures to carry the load of roof. So these are very common use examples, like in the bridges on the rivers, they have these trusses and these two supports, this one and this one. This is the only support to this bridge. Same you can see in any workshop or at the petrol pumps, they are using the trusses just to hold the roof, because in this they need a long construction. So just to get the open area, they are preferring the trusses. Same, this is a crane, or we can say the machine. In the building manufacturing purposes, they are carrying the material from ground to the another level, so they are taking the help of cranes, or we can say the machines. Now these are the joints, most common joints which they are taking, like in welding joint as a permanent joint, when they have no need to just open or disassemble the trusses for repair purpose. And this is the second, pin joints, and they are taking the frictionless pins. These are most commonly used. And this is the third, where they are using it in iron bridges, like riveting joints. Now the question is, why we prefer the trusses over the cemented constructions? Now the main thing is that cost effective. Now why it is cost effective? First, when we design a truss, its own weight is negligible, means it is having very less weight as compared to the cement. Or when I construct a roof of this much size, this much broad area, the roof, the material, we need sand, cement, even stones, even iron bars. So all these are required just to make the roof. But when we make the trusses, its own weight is negligible, so they are not producing, or they are not adding any force to the supports. Then its strength to weight ratio is maximized, means same value of load these frames or trusses can carry. So it is preferred, because to make a broad area under roof, they need a horizontal and vertical walls and cemented basement, so that this cement structure can carry, or they can put the cement structure over there. But here we need only 4 supports on which we can very easily put the truss and frame over this, and we can install the tin or the cemented or the concrete roof over there. So these are preferred over the construction material. Now we will see the classification of frames. First is the plane frame and space frame. When a structure is in 2D, means having the length and width direction only, 2-dimensional object is there, then it is known as plane frame. But when we have the 3-dimensional network, like the electric towers, so these are known as space frame. When the load will be applied here, it will be transmitted into 3-dimensional members. Now next is statically determinate and indeterminate, means all those trusses and frames on which we can apply the conditions of static forces, like all x direction force is 0, y direction force is 0, moment force 0, means we can apply the forces equation of equilibrium condition, then it is known as statically determinate, and when we cannot apply, those are known as indeterminate frames. Now the third and very important part is perfect, deficient and redundant frame. Perfect frame means when we have whatever required number is, means we are not having any excess number of or any less number of members. To calculate this or to differentiate these three, we have the formula, that is n is equal to 2j minus 3. N, maybe you can take the m, both are same. So n stand for number of members and 2j minus 3, j is the number of joints. For example, in this object, if I say there are 3 members, AB, BC and AC. If I talk about the joints, there are 3 joints, A, B and C. Now if I put the value here, n is equal to, n will be 3 because 3 members, 2j minus 3. So j is again 3. So 2 into 3, 6. 6 minus 3, 3. So left hand side 3, right hand side 3. So it means this is a perfect frame. If I talk about this, so how many members are there in this? You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So n is 7. How many joints? A, B, C, D, E, 5 joints. So 5 into 2, 10. 10 minus 3, 7. So left hand side 7, right hand side 7. So this is again a perfect frame. Now we will discuss about the rest of the 2 types. Now let's say this is a frame structure. If you count how many members are there, how many joints are there? Here 8 members if you count and 6 joints. Fill the value. 8 is equal to 12 minus 3 means 6 into 2. 12 minus 3, so it will be 9. So I can say 8 is equal to 9. It means m is less than 2j minus 3. Whenever the condition is member is less than the required number, here m is less than the required number, it means it is the deficient frame because there is a deficiency of a member. So this is deficient frame. Same, if you count in this, the total number of members are 12, joints are 7. Now here 12 is 14 minus 3, 11. So it is having m more than required number of 2j minus 3. So m is more than 2j minus 3. So this is what redundant frame means. If I remove one member from the structure, there will be no effect on the net force which they can bear or which they can support. And here it is having less number of members, and due to that it may get deflection or deformation due to the external load in deficient frame. So if I compare in these two, this these equations can help you very easily. When left hand side is equal to right hand side in this formula, that is the perfect. When left hand side less than right hand side, deficient, and if left hand side more than right hand side, then redundant frame. Now we will see the reactions at supports of a frame. Now we will discuss about the statically determinate frames. Now whenever a frame is given, it will have only 2 type of supports, and these supports will be at the extreme endpoints only. As I have shown you in the case of bridges, the supports will be at the 2 ends only. Now in this case there will be 2 supports. First will be hinge, second will be a rolling support. Now what is the hinge support and what is the rolling support? Hinge support means this truss will have, this frame will have this joint, this support as a fixed support, and this will be a movable support. The function of this movable support will be when a extra load which will exceed the value of calculated load, if this type of load will be happening or due to few unfavorable conditions, due to atmospheric conditions or whatever, the external conditions, when it will change, the extra load which will act on this frame, it will be absorbed by this rolling support by moving its to and fro motion direction. So it will adjust. So it will be taken, this is a practical thing. Whenever we design the bridges, whenever we design the frames or trusses, we take one support as the fixed one, other support as the movable, or we can say this is the rolling support. So if both will be hinge, means both will be fixed, what will happen? This frame structure will break down because there will be no load absorption point, so this will break down. But what will happen if both are rolling? Then the structure will start moving. If we have a river and we have a frame on a river, let's say this is a river and we have designed a bridge on that river. Now if this is also a rolling support, this is also a rolling support, due to any vehicle which is passing from the bridge, the bridge will start moving in that direction of air or whatever the force is being applied. So both cannot be rolling, because if it is fixed, the rolling support will come back to its initial position because of fixing the one end. So that is why we are having one hinge support and second rolling support. So the rolling support is assumed to be as a frictionless, and it provides the reaction at right angle. Means if I talk about the reactions here, the hinge point, the hinge joint, it will have two reactions, the vertical as well as horizontal reaction. But if I talk about the rolling support, it will have only the vertical reaction, it will not have any horizontal reaction. So two reactions, vertical and horizontal for hinge, and vertical reaction for rolling support. Now you can see with this diagram, I'm telling you at RB point there will be a vertical support only, but at RA point there will be two reactions. This is the vertical reaction RY, and this is the horizontal reaction Rx. The resultant of these two reactions will be Ra, which will act in this direction in between these two. Now these diagrams will help you in understanding the rolling and hinge support. I have taken these diagrams actually from the lower part of the bridges. You can see here, this is known as rolling support, this type of rolling support, and it is to be moving up to this area. This is the path which it can go, and it will come back to its initial position. Here also this is the example of the rolling support. This is actually the rocker support. It is being used when the to and fro motion is acting, means just like a pendulum force we are having, then this support will help to protect the trusses. Now the next part is analysis of a frame. Whenever we say we have to analyze a frame, we say that in actually we are going to calculate the reactions at the support, means what will be the value of Ra and Rb for this particular diagram. Then we are going to find out the internal stresses in all the members. In actual, when we design a bridge, when we design a truss, or when we design a frame, we have to analyze a number of things. What are the load it can carry, what is the life, what is the material, what the size, or how many points, how many joints, how many members, then how much extra conditions, extreme conditions it can bear. So all these calculations in practically we do when we design the bridges or any truss frames. But here in our syllabus, when we say what we have to do, analyze a frame, means we are doing only two things: what is the reaction at the frame, and what is the internal stresses in the members. Now this type of, we can say like here it is having the joint C, joint A, joint D and joint B. Now due to the external loads, what will be the stress in this member, what will be the stress here, tension or compression, tension or compression, we calculate that and it come under the category of analysis of frame. Whenever we have to analyze a frame, we have to go for few assumptions, only then we can calculate. First assumption is truss is a perfect one and statically determinate. We have to remember always, we are not going to challenge the number of members. We are not going to find out the number of joint and number of member. Whenever a truss is given in numericals, we have to assume that that is a perfect truss. No need to calculate m is equal to pj minus 3. No need to find out that. Only we assume that it is a perfect one and it is statically determinate. I told you in previous part of the video what is statically determinate truss. All members are rigid and lie in the same plane. So we are not assuming that it is actually a flexible or it can bear the load inside due to elasticity. So we assume that that is a rigid one and they are lying in the same plane, not the 3D structure. Members are hollow and they are of uniform cross section. All the members we assume as hollow so that we are not considering the weight. Their weight is neglected and it is of uniform cross section. All members are having same area of cross section and external loads and reactions act at joints only. Means the reaction you can see here, it is acting at B joint, here at A joint. The external load, if in this structure I have to apply the external load, I can apply it on B point, A joint or at C joint. We are not going to apply any load in between the member, not here, not here. So only at the joint we have the reactions as well as the external load. Then the self weight of I have told you already, the self weight of members are to be neglected. Then the forces are transmitted from one member to another through smooth pins. Means these pins where the joints are there, these pins, these will be frictionless, these will be very smooth pins, so we are not taking the friction into account for these pins. Now to analyze a frame structure, we have the methods. First is known as method of joint, second is known as method of sections. So one by one we will discuss both the methods. Now in method of joint, we say that every joint is treated separately as a free body in equilibrium, such that the sum of all vertical forces as well as horizontal forces acting on that joint is assumed to be zero. Means whenever a structure will be given, whenever a complex structure will be given, we have to take all the joints separately. If a truss is having, let's say, 5 joints, we have to assume all the joints separately, and we say that all the joints are individually in equilibrium. And the meaning of in equilibrium means all the x direction force is 0, all the y direction force is 0. When we apply these two conditions in all the joints, we can find out the stress in each member. Now when we have to apply the method of joint, we have to take the direction like this. Means let's say I have taken the member A and B. When I say A and B is under tension, or we can say it is having the pulling force, means force will be away to the member. So this direction, you have to take care about the direction. It is away from the midpoint. This is the midpoint of the truss, so it is going away from the midpoint. So that is why we say this member is under tension. Similarly, when I have to say a compression, we take this direction in the member, direction of force towards the midpoint. So this is direction for a member. But when we have to say about a joint, let's say I'm talking about here for the joint A. Now A joint will be under compression. It means we are having this force. Under tension, we are having this force. Away to the joint, tension; towards the joint, compression. These direction systems are required in calculation or in analysis of frames. Now this is the combination, we can say, when we have to take the direction of forces in members as well as in joints. You can see here this A joint, it is under tension, so we are taking the direction away, and it is under compression towards the joint. Similarly, for the member, this is the direction for compression towards the midpoint. Similarly, this is the tension away from the midpoint for member. And when the B point is under tension, the direction will be opposite to that, away from the B joint, and similarly C towards the C joint for compression. It is having actually a relation. If I say in a member AB member, we have this type of tension away to the center. Now to balance this tension, there are the joints. The structure, the frame is not going to be distorted. So these joints A and B, they will protect in distortion. So equal force equal to this tension, the equal and opposite force will be applied by the joint A, similarly by joint B, to maintain the symmetry of the truss. Similarly for compression also. I have explained this with a number of examples, a number of diagrams in other videos of the same unit. You can watch those videos for more clarity. Now whenever we have to analyze a frame, we have to follow these steps. First we have to label all the pin joints, then we have to draw the free body diagram, then find out the reactions at supports using the conditions of equilibrium. Then each joint we have to take separately as a free body diagram. Then in those joints we have to assume the direction of forces in the condition of equilibrium. Let's say if we assume positive for a particular member, if we assume the direction of force positive, and in the calculation if we get the value of that force negative, then it means our assumption is wrong. We have to change the assumption. Again I'm telling you, I have solved a number of problems, number of numericals on the same topic. You can watch those for more clarity. Now the fifth point, start from a joint where there are not more than 2 members in which forces are unknown, and then same process is to be repeated from one joint to another joint. I have solved the same question in the video. You can see how we are finding out the stress and reaction in this diagram. Now we will see the second method, that is method of section. It is actually a method which is convenient when the force in a particular member is to be calculated. We are not bothering about all the members when in the question we have to find out the force or stress in a particular, or even let's say 9 members are there, only 1 or 2 members to be calculated. So we apply the method of section. It will help us directly finding the stresses. So what are the steps to find out that? First, we have to split the truss into 2 imaginary sections. We will neglect one section which is not having that member in which force is to be calculated, and we consider only that section in which the member is present. Then we apply the conditions of equilibrium, but here in method of section, along with these summation of fx0, summation of fy0, we can apply the summation of moment of force is also 0 as the condition of equilibrium. Then assume the nature of force, any member, again same like your method of joint, we assume the nature of force and then we calculate if the nature of force, after assuming we are getting the positive value of force, it means nature of force which we assume that is correct. If the value of force is coming negative, then we have to change the nature of force for the same value of force. So again I'm telling you, I have solved a number of numericals in video form. You can watch those for more clarity of these. Same like this, we have to find out the force, or we have to find out the stress in AB and BC member. We have taken 1 1 dash and I follow these steps. I have solved this numerical, you can watch those. Similarly in this also we have to find out the force in BC, GC and GF member. Again we have assumed a section and we know that with taking this section, this part we can ignore, this part is to be considered. So we have to find out the stress, or we have to apply the condition of equilibrium on this part only. This is the ignored one. Again I have solved the same numerical in video form, you can watch for more clarity.